Mike in Stoke-on-Trent, good afternoon.
Hi, Ali. That was a disgusting bear pit that Zelenskyy was put in yesterday.
It was disgusting, agreed.
Having said that, I think Europe let him down. And I think they let him down because Starmer and Macron was so well prepared for that meeting. They would have had people, they would have had PR, they would have had advice, that they would have been going over it and over it and over it. Now, Zelenskyy, I'm sure, probably hasn't got that level of support. And Europe should have known that. They should have given it to him. They should have been talking to him. They should have been talking to him how to deal with Trump. And they should have been talking to him how to put his argument over. And they didn't.
Well, okay, well, don't the Ukrainians have decent enough advisors themselves?
Well, it doesn't seem that they do. And, come on.
Fair point.
Ukraine are in the middle of a war.
That's true. That is also true. Yeah.
They won't have the resource. They won't have the expertise that we have. And at least we could have offered that and gone through it.
Why did he go, Mike? Why did he go?
He didn't have any choice but go. But, I don't think he did.
He did. He did. No, I disagree. He did have a choice because Trump wants to get this deal signed. He wants it done quickly. He wants to get these rare earth minerals and he wants to get business interests on the ground on the part of the US, which itself, he says, will provide a security guarantee because the Russians won't mess around because they respect him. So Trump wants it done. But if Zelensky's not there psychologically or comfort-wise that security guarantees are being offered because they're not being offered, why go?
Well, listen, because going could have been a really positive thing if Zelenskyy would have handled it better. There's obvious logic dead ends that he could have used. For example, if Trump says that he knows or he's sure that Putin would abide by any deal that they make, then if Zelenskyy is asking for a backstop, what have the US got to lose? Because Russia aren't going to break their agreement.
But
anyway.
the US isn't providing a backstop. And Zelenskyy, look, Trump thought that the deal had been done. Zelenskyy thought that signing of this minerals agreement was the beginning of a negotiation. There you have a complete divergence in the starting points of these two men, and that's why this whole thing fell apart very, very quickly, in my view. Mike, thank you. Kalvin, a first-time caller in Finchley, warm welcome. Good afternoon. Oh, sorry, in Flincher in North Wales. Good afternoon.
Hello, Olly. I find the constant lambasting of Zelenskyy as he's following this, from a lot of callers that have came on, a bit disgraceful. I don't feel like he was treated very fairly for weeks before the interview happened yesterday. He's been called a dictator. He's been said he should resign. He's been said he should call early elections. To ad nauseum from various people in the Trump's cabinet.
Yep.
And he's expected to go into that meeting with a totally fresh face and a smile and take up whatever is given to him and accept the reality and then just sign a deal that provides Ukraine nothing.
It's a good point. And also don't forget that the US also sided with Russia and other states against this thing in the UN General Assembly the other day, completely on their own with a bunch of other errant states. Go on.
Yeah, the deal provides Ukraine nothing. It, in fact, just takes more from them. Trump was very clear that it would be that any deal would come at the end of it with a negotiated settlement where
Correct.
Ukraine would lose territory. It said that during this negotiated settlement, they would also lose potentially more territory than is currently occupied.
Yep.
And on top of that, they would get no security guarantees, they would not get into NATO, and also $500 billion worth of natural resources would be extracted for the US for no gain at all on Zelensky's side. I don't know why he went.
Well,
I could see there's potentially some logic in it, that it gives him another platform to, again, relay out his argument.
That wasn't what it was for, Kalvin. That was the cardinal error. Trump was not turning up at the Oval Office for a laying out and a hearing of Zelenskyy on all the intricacies of it. He was there to sign a deal. If Zelenskyy wasn't prepared to sign, he shouldn't have gone.
I'm on the fence about it. I think on the
you saw how it turned out.
Hand, on the one hand, that he was never going to be able to sign that deal. He would have been lambasted at home. There was almost no Ukrainian internal
So then why
support
go?
for a deal with
Why
no
go?
security.
Look, Trump had even told Starmer in the week that Zelensky's coming in the press conference. Zelensky's coming at the end of the week to sign this deal. He wants to come here, sign the deal. Why put the president then in that position, the president of the US in that position, where you come and you're not prepared to sign the deal? You're starting a negotiation again with the US about their backstop or not, as the case may be. Why do that?
I think they came at it from two completely different sides.
They did.
And I think Zelensky genuinely believed there would be negotiations.
Yeah, exactly. 100%, Kalvin. 100%. You've summed it. Go on, finish your point.
But that is also the fault of Trump. He's intentionally obfuscated from point one of this deal.
I don't think he has. Sorry, I don't think he has. He's been very clear. No, Kalvin, he hasn't obfuscated. He's said in public consistently that he will not provide American backstop. Now, if Europeans don't want to listen to that because they put their hands over there and go, oh, la, 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 can't hear you, then that's their problem. He's been very, very clear.
I don't feel like he has been very clear.
He has, Kalvin. Tell me why. He said it consistently in the last few weeks. I will not provide American security guarantee. I will not provide American security guarantee. How many more times do you need to be told?
Well, a security guarantee is one thing, but there is other options. Security guarantees are one thing, but also Zelensky was asking for other things. He was asking potentially for US air support.
Yep.
He was asking for logistics help with the Europeans. So it was the Europeans who were going to provide troops. The Americans may be able to provide some support in the rear to facilitate them being there. Okay. Because logistics mean quite a lot.
Okay, Kalvin, we'll agree to disagree on that one, but I appreciate your call and do call again soon. Thank you. Emma, another first-time caller, and Andalusia in Spain. Welcome, Emma. Good afternoon.
Hi there, Ali. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you for taking my call.
Pleasure.
It was an absolute disaster, but we have to move beyond what happened in the Oval Office.
Yes.
The US is transactional under Trump, isolationist, and he's got an ocean between himself and Europe. So really, unless there's something in it for him, he doesn't care. Europe needs to stop relying on the US. We've got to stop being lax. We need to up our defence spending, and we have to be prepared to put troops into Ukraine, because Europe needs to ask itself, where is the line? We've had Crimea, we've had Ukraine, and if you look at Putin's brain, Alexander Dugin, and what he put in foundations of geopolitics, that empire stretches a lot further than the USSR did. And if that is what Putin's goal is, Europe has to be prepared to have a line in the sand, no matter how painful. We have to say, beyond that point, all bets are off and we have to stop you. Emma, we cannot just virtue signal in the background and do nothing.
Well, that's fair, and it's very, very clear your position. A couple of things here, Emma. I agree with you that it was awful what happened with Zelenskyy. It was absolutely appalling. You know my views. You've heard them so far. But on the substance of what you're saying, do you genuinely, honestly believe that the British populace is prepared to see British soldiers, men and women on the front line, dying in a war against Russia?
At the moment, no, I don't.
Well, how long do you want? How long do you want, Emma? How long do you want? It's like 1 minute to midnight here.
I know. I would like to think that we would, because, we were prepared to go in when it was Poland being invaded. Are we prepared to go in with Ukraine?
But, I mean, what's the answer? Because it's 1 minute to midnight. You know where the US is, and you're saying that, the Trump's not supporting Ukraine. I would say he's being very open and honest about it, because Biden was fueling this war, not giving the Ukrainians and the West in general, not giving the Ukrainians enough to win the war, just enough not to lose the war, which is also negligent and highly irresponsible. Trump's actually being very open about what he's going to do, and he wants to save lives. So if we want to go into the war, fair enough. It's a noble position you're taking, Emma. If you're telling me that the UK populace want to see its men and women die in the front line in a war against Russia, I would posit that is pie in the sky.
I think, well, it might be pie in the sky, but I think you perhaps, it's how you sort of frame the question to them.
What, do you want to die in the front line? Go on.
Well,
how would you frame it?
Not in that sense, but how far do you want to see Russia spread? I mean, it's going to get to, well, if Putin's just allowed to do what he wants, it's going to get to the side where it does start impacting
Emma, you know
on the UK.
I understand your point, and it's an interesting one. I think there's a trust problem in British politics as well, because remember that little dossier that we were told that we'd be attacked by Iraq within 45 minutes? Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't go down too well. Yeah, it didn't go down too well, did it?
Yes.
So therefore, I would put forward this contention that a lot of people, particularly young people in this country, and there's been a survey done about it just only recently by the Times, if they're asked to go and fight and put their lives on the line for their government, I think that trust equation has broken down. So I think we've got some big problems based on that nonsense war that we did in Iraq, which is now going to come home to roost. Chickens always come home to roost, and this is the time when it's going to happen. I may be wrong, Emma. Maybe I'm wrong, but at least you're being clear in your argument and your request. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Is there not a bit that's refreshing, kind of American president that says just start with not killing, just stop the killing, and then go from there, and then actually take that as where you begin from? And that's, I know there's so much talk about the bullying and the setup of what Trump and Vance did, but their underlying point was let's just begin by stopping people dying. I think in Ali's show he was saying, would we be happy to see? I mean, I've got my daughters. See my own daughters dying in Ukraine when there was a deal to stop it, and there's no military solution here. Whether Europe or America, there is no military answer. There has to be a diplomatic, or as Trump will call it, a deal, which is just diplomacy, which is not going to be pretty. It's not going to be nice, but it begins by saying people stop dying today. So it's not going to be the right thing.
And how do you work the minerals into that? The rare and precious and incredibly expensive and valuable minerals. How do they come in to stop people dying today? And how does President Putin calling the shots work into and end up with people stopping dying today? Well, how does that work? I mean, what you're saying sounds delightful, but like a fairy tale that you might tell your daughters at bedtime. It doesn't sound like anything that was mentioned in the White House yesterday, does it?
The bedtime's a really good point. So I am not a great scholar of history at all, but what I do read is a lot of horrible history books to my daughters.
Okay.
And reading to my daughter about the Somme, which was we went and got involved in a war, in the amount of people that die, and the minerals are a great point, but minerals and money and land is one thing, but a human life has to be more precious. And what Trump's deal would have done is stop people dying. And again, it's not. I know I don't support Trump. It's just, is it not refreshing to see someone begin by saying, "Let's not kill"?
But is that how he began? And is that really the tone and the tenor of the entire meeting? And meeting is a euphemism for what happened. It was an altercation. It was a bust up. It was a dust up. It was all kinds of things. People keep using the words extraordinary and remarkable. They're woefully inadequate. I haven't seen anything like that kind of behaviour by a sitting president to a president, both democratically elected, in front of the world's press in that way. I mean, absolutely earth-shattering. Potentially, literally extraordinary. So the idea that it started with if you sign this now, no one else will die. I think that's Jackanory. I'm sorry, not that I don't love Jackanory, but not for grown-ups. Olly, thank you very much. Let's go on to Solomon, first-time caller from Peckham. Hi, Solomon. Thanks for ringing.
Hi, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Okay, what do you make of all this? Come on.
So, well, I think I've always thought the behaviour of Trump is despicable, and what's gone on over there is a joke, really. And he's a supporter of autocracy. He, in his own dreams, would want to be a dictator and an autocratic leader. However, that's not really the purpose of my call. I wanted to comment on British young people's willingness to fight in this country, because that was being mentioned earlier. And I just kind of wanted to say, I'm a 25-year-old, by the way, and I'd never want to go to war. That would be a worst-case kind of scenario. But if it came to it, I think I would. If it came to it being said that there was an autocratic nation threatening the democracy in Europe, I would. And I know loads of people who also would do it. And they say it's only a if it came to it kind of situation. No one's going to say, oh, yeah, I want to go to war.
And you're imagining a war against America, are you, at this point, or Russia, or both? America, Russia, China, India, and the rest of the universe?
I'm just talking theoretically about a war where you're standing up for democracy at this point.
Okay.
So, and really about the concept of British young people being willing to go and do that.
I mean, I think that was a few weeks ago. I mean,
we
we did that subject on this show, funnily enough,
Okay.
when Gen Z say, there was Gen Z or whatever you want to call them, said they wouldn't want to fight for this country. And most people who were slightly older said, yeah, that's because they can't imagine how it would feel, or, if they were in a war situation, if they felt that their very way of life was threatened, their mothers, their sisters, themselves, they would feel very differently. You're basically ringing to say that yesterday was such a tremendous shake-up of everything that we thought could possibly be stable on this planet. Absolutely terrifying. And you're saying exactly what everybody said you'd say, which is, okay, I will fight, really. Let's talk to Amit, first-time caller from Glasgow. Hi, Amit. Thanks for ringing.
Yeah, hi there. Hi. Look,
Hi.
I was quite disappointed and disgusted, and I don't think the magnitude of what has happened yesterday has clearly sinked in.
To whom?
I would like
Where?
To everyone.
God, it's absolutely flattened me. I think the more I thought about it, I couldn't sleep. I was just I was in a state of complete demoralized, shocked. I suppose. I mean, I don't want to say I wasn't in terror in my own bedroom, but I was anticipating all kinds of appalling ramifications of this, weren't you?
I was, and who do you trust? I was exactly in the same position.
Yep.
But if you think about it, who got humiliated yesterday wasn't just a particular individual. It was millions of Ukrainians.
Yes, an entire
who are
nation, of
standing
course.
by him.
Absolutely.
There's millions of Europeans who
Yep.
had Ukrainian flags
Yep.
on their roofs.
Yep.
And the bigger point is, how are people in Taiwan watching this? Who's going to fight now in future and stand up with a bigger power? And we've got plenty of these hotspots in the world. Who's going to now?
Why did you choose Thailand just as an example of a country in the world watching it? Just a random example.
Taiwan.
Oh, Taiwan. Okay.
Yes. Now, what are they going to trust after this humiliation? Will they end up like this one day? And this has huge, and it's not just Taiwan. There are people all over the world watching this right now and thinking, who do you trust?
Well, who do you trust?
Well, at the moment, no one, because the whole thing, standing behind Ukraine and all the big Western powers, was we're gonna stand by you till the end. And it doesn't look like that promise has materialized. And many, many people across the world will be asking some really hard questions about trust, about trusting a bigger power and then going into conflict with another bigger power, thinking that they're going to get the right support till the end. I think that's the biggest ramification of what happened yesterday, and not just the upset and the humiliation bit. Chinese people might be celebrating today. Russians are celebrating today.
Russians are celebrating. Do you trust Keir Starmer?
I do. I do for now. But who knows? Who knows?
Do you trust Macron? I mean, do you trust David Lammy, who, as we know, lambasted Donald Trump in the most egregious manner, and then crawled in the direction of his? I don't want to say anything obscene on the radio, even though I do really, but I won't. I'm meant to be a professional at this, but you know what he did. They have denounced him and reviled him, and then the moment he was in power, they have crawled and bent the knee and oleaginously, sycophantically tried to curry favour with him. They've done that, and Zelenskyy didn't, because Zelensky's in the middle of a war and hasn't got time for that sort of finicky kind of fake finesse, has he?
Graham in North Carolina. Good afternoon.
This is the most refreshing LBC I've heard in months. And I applaud your thoughts about the 5%, because I was going back from LBC and watching Fox and going back and forth, and there's definitely a battle going on here. But do you suppose that Trump, in certain ways, as the art of the deal, is cajoling the Europeans and the Brits to come up with their 5%?
Yeah,
that
probably.
My tax money is going to this guy, it's a good noble cause. I bought the T-shirt. But where's it going? How's it being used? And Trump actually produced weapons, whereas Biden, like you said, just allowed enough to get by, and Obama gave him blankets.
What did you think? I understand the point, Graham, and thank you for giving your perspective as an American. How do you think Trump and Vance handled Zelensky yesterday? Because, look, I think that Trump does want a deal, and I have some sympathy with that. And I also think that Zelensky shouldn't have gone if he wanted to enter into a negotiation. Fine. But the way that he was treated in that manner, whatever Zelensky did in terms of eyebrow raising and arms folded and all the rest of it, was disgraceful. It was disgraceful. Come on, Graham. It was awful.
It was. I don't think it was a hit job. Okay,
it may not have been a hit job, but it was still very, very undiplomatic, is putting it charitably. Go on.
Those kind of discussions need to be behind the curtain. They don't need to be up front.
Completely agree. What do you think should happen now, from your perspective in the US?
I think that Zelensky should come and say, "I'm sorry, bring on the shovels and surround surround the equipment with troops from Europe and UK and us, but start digging."
Is it realistic, Graham?
And they'll work out the rest.
Yeah, but Graham, is it realistic for the Europeans who have been basking under the American security blanket since the end of the Cold War and even longer, even if they want to step up, and they are going to step up, that's what we're hearing, is it practical for them to be in a position to potentially repel Russian aggression without a backstop, air cover, support, intelligence support from the US? It's not going to happen, is it? I mean, they can't win on their own.
I don't think we're not going to help, but the idea is that we're out on a limb doing it all ourselves. And
you're not doing it all yourselves. I mean,
putting up 1-3%.
Yeah, but Graham, you're not doing it all yourselves because Europe has stepped up and given shed load of.
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I think we need a backstop.
Yeah.
I think they should have sent tanks. Biden should have sent tanks.
Okay.
And he should have sent the jets, but he didn't.
President Zelensky has gone to that meeting. He's already been called a part-bit comedian. It's been suggested that it was Ukraine who started the war.
Yeah.
It's suggested that he wants to continue the war.
Yep.
He's going, and then he was berated by someone. Why wasn't he wearing a suit? You know, I mean, so he goes into that meeting, and I thought, you know, for me personally, I go for Vance. Your previous texter said that right on the button.
Yeah.
Now, we have to look at the text of that. When President Zelensky asked if Vance had mentioned certain problems about conscripts, I mean, for God's sake. And then what problems? Zelensky asked him, have you ever been to Ukraine? That's a fantastic question. And Vance said, I've actually watched and seen the stories.
Yes.
I mean, but the thing is, that Vance said, I know what happens is you bring people on a propaganda tour.
Yes.
Now, that is an absolutely disgusting statement. And I think that Vance should be taken out for that. Well, I don't mean, what I mean is, but he should be berated for that because that is actually almost legitimizing Russian war crimes in Ukraine. And that's why President Zelensky got so distraught about the situation. There have been maybe 300 children killed. There have been hospitals. The war crimes that Russia has committed in Ukraine since 22 is absolutely all catalogued. It's all there. And for a person in his position to say that to the president of Ukraine, that's why I think that, unfortunately, President Zelensky, started to argue. And why shouldn't he?
I don't know whether it was unfortunately. What else could he do? Imagine if he hadn't. That would have been far worse, surely, wouldn't it?
He had to.
He had to
because he is honouring the soldiers who've died in Ukraine.
Exactly.
He's honouring the children that have been killed. He's honouring the hospitals that have been decimated, the people who've been tortured, the people who've been abducted by the Russians. I mean, I don't think that people really realise what would happen. Like, for example, if you lived in a town, I don't know, let's take a town in England, shall we?
Yeah.
Bath, let's take Bath, for example, and it was invaded by Russians. If they came into that town, what did people think they would do?
Absolutely.
What did people think the Russians would do
so
if they
now
took over a Ukrainian town?
Okay, so Alex, it's the morning after. So kind of it's beginning to sink in, isn't it? Exactly what happened, the magnitude of it, what the ramifications of it could be. We've got our Prime Minister meeting President Zelensky this afternoon. We know that Keir Starmer was on the phone to President Trump yesterday after this altercation. So what are you thinking now? How are you and the Ukrainian community in Scotland feeling and thinking? And what do you think should happen next?
Okay, well, obviously we have the EU has £300 billion of Russian assets.
Yeah.
That money needs to be used to repair the damage that they've done in Ukraine. So the West or Europe needs to stand up and say, you're not getting that back. We're going to use that to help Ukrainians defend themselves. I hope you see the point that I'm making.
Yeah.
It's not that President Zelenskyy wants the war to continue. He wants to defend the people of Ukraine because the Russians want to destroy Ukraine completely. You know, there is no any doubt at all about what they want to do.
What do you think about the fact that the President of the United States, our ally, has said that Zelenskyy is a dictator and represents Putin as a kind of innocent sufferer in the Ukraine-Russian war? What do you think about that? Because you would think, I'm assuming it's a fictional, factually inaccurate stance, which is absolutely indefensible to take that view, isn't it?
No, I think in that phone call or phone calls he's had with Putin, that Putin has managed to wind him up a little bit and maybe even suggested that Trump could have some kind of influence in Russia in the future or some kind of investments in Russia in the future. There could be trade between the two countries. Yeah. You know, what Trump is doing, Trump is trading dollars and what have you, but Zelenskyy is trading people's lives, children's lives, mothers' lives. You know, it's a completely different currency that they're dealing with. Yeah. Trump is dealing with dollars. Zelenskyy is dealing with people. And there's a big difference.
Alex, I appreciate the call and also the great depth of feeling behind it. Thank you very much indeed for ringing. Much appreciated. Let's talk to Luke in Orpington. Hello, Luke.
Hi, Vanessa. The purpose of Friday's invitation to host Ukraine was a commercial one. It was a business deal. It was a 50-50 raw materials deal worth $1.5 trillion each.
This was the minerals deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was the purpose of the meeting.
Yeah.
Zelenskyy made 3 mistakes, in my opinion.
Okay.
He went to the White House to negotiate weapons, defence funding, and the reversal of pre-war positions. Second one, he failed to play his only card, which was the joint venture of $1 trillion for Earth deal. And the third one is he was rude and argumentative and disrespectful to his host.
But do you think so? What do you think he said that was? What do you think he said that was rude, though, or argumentative, or disrespectful? What were the things you thought he said that were those things? He said, "Have you ever been to Ukraine that you see the problems we have?" To Vance.
Yeah.
And Vance replies, I've been to, I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President, he shot back. In other words, I haven't been there, no, but I think you take people on a propaganda tour. What did Zelenskyy say that was disrespectful there?
Throughout the 15-minute meeting or whatever it was, he was constantly raising eyebrows and disagreeing and shaking his head.
But what could he do, though? What else could he do? How could he, imagine if he hadn't done that, though? If he hadn't looked as if he disagreed.
Yeah, he should have sucked it up and talked behind the doors. That was supposed to shake.
But the whole point of it was on a public platform. That was the choice of the president, wasn't it? Who said it was going to make really fantastic TV.
Zelenskyy has always been regarded since May of last year by Putin as being an illegitimate leader of Ukraine.
Yep.
And he cannot have any negotiation with him. In fact, it's in the Ukrainian constitution that Zelenskyy will not negotiate with Putin. So there's no negotiation unless the law changes. Now, Donald Trump wants to make a deal. He's a businessman. He wants to sign this thing off because Trump is faced with 2 options. Option 1, make a deal. Option 2, have an all-out war with Russia.
Yep.
That's where we are. Now, we are in no position because if you understand how this thing works, it's called mutual assured destruction.
Yep, mad.
That's it. So we can't have an all-out war with Russia. If we can have peace, because they said in their defense, we are trying to protect our borders from NATO expansion.
Yes.
It might be lying, we don't know.
Yep.
But it is not too much to ask, given the circumstances that we are faced with now, and the loss of lives and territory and the potential to go much, much further. Mm-hmm. I honestly believe that making a deal now, Putin wants to make a deal. Mm-hmm. The Istanbul Agreement suggested he wanted to make a deal.
Yep.
Very earlier on. All of this is just insanity, and we led Zelenskyy to believe he could win against Russia.
Have we been negligent? Have we been negligent?
Irresponsible.
Very,
I would say, to some extent,
very irresponsible. It's not our boys and girls dying in the front line.
No. And Lindsey Graham said it was the best U.S. money we have spent because it wasn't American soldiers who were dying. That is a horrible thing to say because we are not the ones dying, so it's all right to carry on the conflict. We are not. We present as their friends, but are we really their friend? Or do we care that much about them? Are we trying to defeat Russia?
So in that sense, Dean, is Trump not just simply being honest? Yes, he's a mercantilist property developer from New York who wants to do deals and make money, and he's very money driven. There's a cultural difference here, and I think we need to face up to the cultural difference between America, which is a very capitalist in the raw sense society driven by money, and Europe, which has still got its own values and likes to think of itself as moral and all the rest of it. We're very different. Do you think that he's just being honest? He's actually being honest.
He is being honest, but also if you know the history of Zelenskyy and Trump, Zelenskyy, in my opinion, and many other people's, cost Trump the 2020 election. He caused Trump massive humiliation.
How did he cause that? How did he cause that?
The Russian, the Burisma, Hunter Biden, the laptop, all of that turns out to be true, which was said to be a lie. Now, if Zelenskyy had gone ahead with an investigation, as Trump insisted, which was a legitimate investigation because the Vice President of America, his son, was involved in what appears to be dodgy activities in Ukraine on the board of directors of an energy company. This is all factual, by the way. This is not just some conspiracy in the back room.
I mean, Hunter Biden has not been prosecuted for any of this, right? So
this is accusation.
Yeah, exactly.
Accusation.
So we need to be careful about this. But Trump feels that Zelenskyy should have helped him on. What we do know is Trump feels that he should have helped him on Hunter Biden.
Yes.
He called him in 2019 and he didn't. We know that. The rest of it, I don't want to speculate about. Carry on.
No. What I'm saying, okay, so it's an assumption. We don't. That is why I wanted it investigated because we knew that but the 51 former CIA operatives, agents who signed a letter to say this is a lie, this is classic Russia disinformation, this didn't exist. 51 former CIA. This is important because these people have credibility. They're 51 very, very important people for the national security of the country.
Okay, Dean, briefly, where does this leave us now? What do we do now?
So basically, Zelenskyy had a history with Trump where he thought he won. Trump somehow fought his way back to office. And he remembered what Zelenskyy did to him and the role he took. So what happened there was almost retaliation on that.
Okay, so if you're in a situation where the circumstances, to use a pompous word, are not propitious, they're not optimal for you to go, and you know that the president's already just called you a dictator just a few days before, you've got this Hunter Biden issue lingering on, which Trump feels that Zelenskyy didn't help him out on, and you're also dragging your feet on a minerals deal. It's not exactly the best backdrop for it. Why go?
He had no choice. You had no choice. If Trump is Lord Sugar in the boardroom and Zelenskyy is the apprentice.
Well, that's how it felt.
And when the Lord Sugar speak, you shut up and you listen. And if you said, come here and sign this, you come here and sign this. He has no cards. He's in no position. Well, so a couple of weeks ago, when he spoke openly, disrespecting Trump openly, he didn't realize that. And J.D. Vance said, you're going to be sorry. You're going to pay for that. He made some comment along those lines that you are going to be. So this is the moment. This is the moment.
Well, Dean, I think you've made the point very well. I don't know if it was premeditated or not, but I think Zelenskyy could have handled it much differently. I still think it was an absolutely disgraceful thing to watch. Dean, thank you.
Yes.
Jess in Lewes, good afternoon.
Hello.
What would you like to say, Jess?
Just, I'm not the most politically tuned in and knowing, but just what I witnessed yesterday was, in my opinion, despicable.
Yeah, it was.
The bullying of a man that is in a country that is fighting for its life.
Yeah.
And people are saying that he should have behaved better, dressed better. I didn't see him behave particularly badly. English is not his native tongue.
He did raise his eyebrows a lot.
Yeah, but Trump's done far worse to people.
Yeah, but look, if you're going to meet the king, which Trump is in his Oval Office, you got to kiss the ring and bend the knee.
I think that is something that as a world, as a planet, we need to get over.
Well, I'm
we're
afraid, Jess,
that Keir Starmer went and, said, "Oh, aren't you wonderful?" Stroked his ego.
Okay.
It's despicable.
So what should we do, Jess? Let's get serious. What should we do then?
Like I said, I don't know.
Why
I'm
not?
not a politician.
No, Jess, no. No, Jess, you're not going to get away that lightly because no politician knows what's to do. So I'm telling you, Jess, you know as much as any politician right now, including all the European leaders coming here, because none of them have got the answer. So give us your view.
Well, my view is that everyone slating Zelenskyy for not wearing a suit is beside the point.
Yes, agreed.
He's a president of a country that's fighting for its life.
Yes.
And he was expected to go there on his hands and knees and say, "Aren't you wonderful, President Trump? I love you. You're fantastic." And just because he didn't do that, so anyone can say anything as long as they're...
Okay, but Jess, where does it leave us? Because I think I can understand...
I think it leaves us in a very dangerous,
in
a very horrible predicament.
But then do we need to step up, Jess, and say, does Starmer need to say, okay, Jess, Ali, everyone else in the country, we are going to increase defence spending to 5%. You're going to have your taxes go up. It's going to happen in short order in the spring statement on March the 26th. Reeves is going to increase taxes to put defence spending up 5%. We need to fuel Ukraine and arm Ukraine to the back teeth, and we might even have to put soldiers on the ground. How about that?
If that's what it takes, because we're witnessing something that I never thought I'd witness in my lifetime.
Well, Jess, I'm not surprised it's happened, to be honest, and I'm not surprised we've ended up in a peace negotiation where land for peace is being discussed. I said it on Ian Dale's show just 1 month after this war began, and that's where we are right now. And I think if we're serious, then everyone needs to be behind this, and we need to step up. If we're not, then I think we can stop saying in polls that we support Ukraine more than the US.
I agree.
And go back and cook our lunch and stop fussing about it all. Jess, thank you. Great call. David in Eltham, good afternoon.
Hi, Ali. Ali, dearie me. This is a Russian propaganda show today. What a load of rubbish has been spoken. How many Ukrainians have been killed? Less than 100,000.
Well, we don't know because Zelenskyy won't tell us.
Oh, well, actually, when you're in the country regularly, when you're at the front line, when you're living with troops in Donbass, you know exactly.
But why doesn't Zelenskyy tell us? He was asked yesterday about it. Why didn't he say?
Because you don't do that in war. Churchill didn't do the same. By the way, do you know what Churchill wore when he went to America?
Yeah, I know. I'm well aware. Go on.
Yeah. So why bring that up as if it's an appropriate thing to say? So the approximate number of Ukrainian soldiers who have been killed in action is round about 69,000.
Right. Okay.
There are 350,000 with life-changing injuries.
Right.
There are 921,000 Russian soldiers killed or with life-changing injuries.
Okay, so what's the point of telling us these stats? What are you getting at, David?
Well, because the idea that one thing Ukraine can't win the war, it was absolutely.
Well, it's not winning, is it? It's 3 years, David. I mean, how many more people do you want to die?
Are they not winning?
No,
are they
they're not.
Really not winning?
No, they're not winning. David, no. Hold on, David. Hold on. Because you said it's a Russia propaganda show, and you're not going to get away with that nonsense. If you're going to tell me... No, hold on. And I'm going to let you respectfully come back. If you're going to tell me this is a Russia propaganda show, you need to get off the pot and tell me exactly how Ukraine's going to win this war and how they're winning it today.
Okay. So Russia is holding less land than they were 7 weeks into the war today.
Okay.
There is a bit of Russia that is under Ukrainian control that the Russians cannot move them out of.
Okay.
They are developing an arms industry like nobody has ever seen. They are now creating 40% of their own weapons.
Yeah.
They are the world leader in drone technology.
Okay. Right. So okay, understood. That's what Zelenskyy was saying as well. They're the world leader. So if America is not going to give security guarantees, and it's highly unlikely that they will, based on what's been said so far, what do you think should happen next?
I think Europe should have done what they said they were going to do in the beginning. Because to think that
they haven't done it yet, have they? They haven't done it.
No, they haven't.
Right.
They haven't.
So what are you expecting tomorrow?
Well, I hope that people are going to man up, because if they don't, eventually it will give Russia time to rebuild its military again, and they'll come back.
Are you prepared for your taxes to go up significantly to pay for it?
Absolutely, 100%.
Good. I'm glad you are.
Yes.
Good. I'm glad, because so am I, if that's what it comes to. Now, let me ask you this.
That's what it means to be British.
Understood.
That's what it means to be British.
Okay.
We don't leave our ally behind.
Fine. Fair enough. Fair point. Why do you think 18 to 24-year-old young men are not being put on the front line in Ukraine? What's that about?
So,
if they're winning, why are they not? Why are they not calling them up?
Because they're not forcing the future of Ukraine to go to the front line.
But why? If they're winning, why?
Why would you do that?
Well, why wouldn't you if you're winning? No, hold on. If you could end it quicker, no, hold on. Let's follow through. If you think it could end quicker and you think they're winning, why are they not putting their 18 to 24-year-olds in the front line?
Well, there are 18 to 24-year-olds on the front line.
But they're not being conscripted. They're not being conscripted.
No, they're going. Do you know how much they get paid if they sign up? The day they sign up?
I don't know, but I know that Russia, when a Russian soldier dies, they get 30 times their salary. Right. Okay, go on. Just last point. Tell me why.
So when a Ukrainian 18 to 24-year-old voluntary signs up for the military, he gets the equivalent to $18,000 on day one.
Okay, so not being paid enough. So it's not really about saving your country at all. It's about how much you get paid. Is that it?
No, that's not the case at all.
Well, it sounds like it, David. You can't have it both ways. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Do you know there's a waiting list for some regiments in Ukraine?
No, I wasn't aware of that. Maybe Zelenskyy should tell us more.